getting to that, doing doing major triads in all 12 keys, like you just saw, I think understanding the circle of fifths is really critical, and getting to that kind of exercise, I think, really sheds light on the importance of knowing the circle of fifths, because it's really the most, I think it's the best, and it's the most universal way to understanding the relationship of all the keys, all the notes to each other, without having to memorize too much information. I think that's really what it is, simply put, because for me, I was the laziest musician. Starting in high school, you can ask my friends, and counting to five for me was way more manageable than counting to seven. Okay, and I mean that makes sense to a lot of you, but hey, that's the kind of kid I was. So I was able to understand and get to know all 12 keys by bridging 5 to 7. I counted to five. I knew what the scale sounded like. On the saxophone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the octave. I figured the rest out after counting to five, but I really leaned on knowing 1 through 5. The formula for the spacing between each of the numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, is the same. So to demonstrate, and you don't have to get buried in this too much, because I refused to when I was younger. I use my ear a lot more. So if you could rely on your ear as well, that is highly recommended, because that always helps if you can have the ear assisting you. So the first note, the C, is the 1, and the 2 is a whole step away, and the 3 is always another whole step away, and then the next step, the number 4, is a half step or chromatic step, right? And then after that's another whole step after that, and then another whole step after that, and then a half step or chromatic step to the C, B to C on the saxophone. So, and you should also go descending as well. Now, if you just play that scale only and you memorize it, and you can count to 5, then that's it. You can master the circle of fifths. And what should incentivize you, of course, is that first exercise you heard in the beginning. It's playing major triads in all 12 keys, but a little bit, differently in the way that's connecting it all together nicely. And that requires to really kind of condition your brain and your responses in terms of the fingering and your knowledge of the saxophone keyboard. So that's why practice is really so essential, I believe. I think everyone who teaches believes in that, and it's not just because some textbook says that. It's because real life experience. Really, the more you live, the more you understand, I think, that practicing yields results, and not practicing shows in one's playing. So for the circle of fifths, I think the easiest way to explain and demonstrate this is to really break it down to just knowing 2 things, okay? And I'll explain why in a second, but all you need to know for the circle of fifths is really to know one major scale, any major scale. Just have it memorized in your head so that you could sing it up and down. And the second thing is to count to 5. But obviously for a scale, there are 7 steps. So in learning the numbering system, that's pretty much all you need to know is to count to 7. But for this exercise, knowing the circle of fifths, and doing your triads, all you need to do is count to 5, because in every key, all 12 of them, 1 through 5 would be the same thing. Instead of notes, they're numbers. And so you can count or sing it by numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And make that 501. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from a lower octave. So you're going to do the same thing with the saxophone, okay? And do it in every key by counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then making that a 501, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and keep going until you wind up with the same note. Starting with C on the saxophone, it would sound like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you take that 5 and turn it into a 1, and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Turn that into a 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Oh, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep it going. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You could play along with me if you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that finally is back to C. So I think that covers all 12 keys. And if you could do it by memory, that's the best way. And if you have to fish for the sharps and flats using your pinkies or the palm keys, usually this part of the palm is touched by those palm keys. So you're gonna have to get used to really allowing your fingers to your hands to become like independent of the body in a way. It's like they are responding to whatever your neurological impulses are from the ear training, from practicing, and repetitiveness in doing this. So that's why the circle of fifths really is extremely helpful. So you don't have to remember too many things. And so here's the secret to understanding how many sharps and flats go with every key. Circle of fifths kind of lays it out very methodically. As you can see on this copy right here, you see that C has no sharps or flats. G has 1 sharp. D has 2 sharps. A has 3, E has 4, B has 5, F sharp has 6, and C sharp has 7. All right, and then we go to A flat, which has 4 flats, E flat has 3 flats, B flat has 2 flats, and F has 1 flat. We go back to C, so it's a full circle. So if you look at this carefully, there is a pattern going on. Oh yeah, and here's the other thing. I always recommend having a hard copy like this, always handy for practice, because it's something that you always want to be looking at. Okay, I think that's something that well worth emphasizing. So I hope you find this helpful. If you do, please hit the like button, and please subscribe if you haven't, if you'd like. Now, once you practice in all 12 keys, either counting to 5, and your goal here is to get to 7 in all 12 keys, right? The whole scale up and down. And again, because I was lazy, I only wanted to conquer the triads because they were easier to conquer than the major scale in all 12 keys. So knowing that every time you count to 5 is a perfect fifth, and smack in the middle you have the third, you will always be playing, for example, with C on the saxophone, it would be C, E, G, and that's 1 3 1 3 5 3 1, and just using the same numbering system that we were using before, 1 2 3 4 5 4 3 2 1. You're just going to do 1 3 5 in all 12 keys, and you could do that starting with C. Try to do it in 2 octaves, up and down. And then knowing that the 5th is G, starting with G, you could start do what we just did, except instead of 1 2 3 4 5, it's 1 3 5. I had to hit the altissimo. I didn't do so great, but to get to 2 octaves there. So if you're not comfortable with 2 octaves, you can do 1 octave. Okay, and a 5th from that would be D. Okay, and then you're using, you're exercising your palm keys here to get that high D, the 2nd octave. So I always recommend trying to go as far as you can with the keyboard on the saxophone. Don't just dwell in the comfort zone. Try to always be extending everything to the limit with the upper and lower registers as you practice. And then 5 steps from that would be A. And then 5 steps from that would be E. And then B. Then F sharp. And then C sharp. And then G sharp. And then D sharp. So as you can see, it's testing my knowledge of the keyboard at an instant, and obviously I couldn't get it there. So practice is important, as you can see. And then after D sharp, then B flat. And then F. And then back to C. Right? And if you keep practicing that in all 12 keys, just like I did, but do better than that, meaning like just get it perfect every time, then you're able to have enough in your brain conditioned to be able to do this exercise from the, I think it's the Andy McGee. No, sorry, strike that. Jackie McLean Daily Exercises book. It's a purple cover book, only about maybe 14 pages long. But it demonstrates this kind of exercise, which I love because it forces the saxophone player to really reckon with their knowledge of the keyboard, the range of the keyboard, and what they can do with their hands, and the knowledge of the keys and the music, but in a way that's particular to the saxophone. So for example, we do the triads in all 12 keys starting with F, so that basically we know the high F is the highest mechanical note we can hit without altissimo. F or F sharp, but on this horn it's F. And then play chromatic half step down as the new one instead of counting 5th, so that here I'll just demonstrate it. You do that, and you're flexing your knowledge in your head as well as your fingers, your response time. It's very neurological, I suppose, and I think that's really a way to gauge if you're really making progress with your real base knowledge of the keys, the numbering system, and your sharps and flats.